Hi, Dr. Pam here. So this is going to be my last video just about, my first two videos I talked to you about why it is that I do what I do, my specific autoimmune condition being eczema, and how that having that specific condition really impacted me, impacted my skin, and how I use that as my caliber in terms of if I have too much stress, I'm not taking care of myself. That's my very first sign that things are out of balance and I need to do something about that. And again, having that eczema for me was actually very emotionally devastating. I remember not even being able to go into a grocery store and to look at the clerk because I was so incredibly embarrassed about my skin and how I looked. I didn't want anyone to look at me, to see me, and it really took its toll on me emotionally. So having that amount of stress for a long period of time, and then just the stress of life and, you know, getting into practice, having kids, all of those things, it really took an impact on all of my hormones. And one of them being my thyroid. And most of my life I had a lot of thyroid symptoms, but I was never really, when I go and test it, it looked normal, like so many of my patients that come in. Thyroid's normal, there's nothing wrong with you, yet you have almost every single symptom that's on the checklist there. And ultimately what ended up happening is I started to lose my hair, and it literally was about half of what you see now, and it started to lose its curl. It became very wiry, very dry and brittle. And then I had all the other symptoms, the weight gain, the fatigue. The fatigue was so incredibly just this bone fatigue, feeling cold hands and feet, freezing all the time. So what I started to do was take some of these steps to start to fix it. And, you know, I found a doctor that was willing to work with me with during some of the thyroid medication, which definitely for me helped me quite a bit and allowed me to be able to start to take other steps to fix ultimately what the big trigger was, which is the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys and produce cortisol. And when you are under high amounts of stress and you're pumping out all that cortisol, high cortisol actually inhibits thyroid production. And what that means is that it can stop your thyroid from converting to the active form. Or what it can also do is start to convert down this other pathway called reverse T3. And when that happens, all the labs can look normal, but you have all of these symptoms of low thyroid function because ultimately you're not getting enough of the active thyroid into the cells. And so I really started to explore, you know, we have a variety of different functional medicine-based tests that can give you a snapshot of your chemistry. So you can see, you know, are you low in things like B vitamins? Is your liver not detoxifying properly? And so what I did is I started to do a lot of these tests on myself and to discover where my problems were coming from. And in the big picture, and we'll maybe talk about this in some more video series because it's a little bit too much detail for this, but when I look at the big picture now and I'm able to start tying all these different things in together, you know, when I have a long history of food sensitivities and I have to be incredibly careful about what I eat, I can have a little bit of stuff now because I've done so much treatment on my gut over the years, but I can't go out and just eat whatever I want all the time because it's going to flare my skin. And when it starts to flare my skin and creates that stress, it actually starts to impact my thyroid and it starts to impact all of my other hormones. You know, when you start to look at the big picture and you can start to identify maybe your genetic predisposition to maybe not detoxifying very well, and you're exposed to a lot of environmental toxins, like I would have been in Portland with all the mold or even just around different chemicals, those things, as they build up in your system, they can impact your skin, they can impact all of your hormones. They can impact your thyroid. And so you have food impacting your thyroid, you have environmental toxins impacting your thyroid. I have my gut impacting my thyroid because I wasn't digesting food very well. I had a long history of constipation and bloating and just incredibly just painful lower abdomen a lot of the times. So the thing I want everybody to keep in mind is that, especially if you're addressing an autoimmune disease, unfortunately you're not going to fix it in 30 days and probably not even 90 days. This is a lifelong thing that you have to learn to manage. And what our goal here is, when we see people with chronic conditions, we want to give you the tools to help to manage these things, so that way you know what you can do to prevent it, or if you have a flare-up, you know why. Because I think there's nothing more frustrating than when you have this constant flare-up and you don't know what it's coming from. And so now, if I have a flare-up, most of the time I can identify the reason why, and I can take steps to go and to correct it. So thank you again for listening. If there's more subjects you want to hear about or talk about, please just leave comments below, and we're happy to do that. Thanks.